So do you think it was your destiny to get into music and do what you're doing right
Yeah,
now?
I mean, I've never, like, since I found out, I've never thought about anything else I would want to do. Like, even if it doesn't pay at all, like, even if it doesn't pay, as long as it pays for, like, food and, like, I can, like, provide for, like, my family when I get married and have a kid someday. If it can provide for them and do all that, like, I don't need all the extra stuff, like a yacht and stuff. I just need enough to be, like, content, you know? Minimalism. If I can be content and do what I love, like, I'll be happy. Like, that's it.
Yeah. That's huge.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Bindlism, a philosophy to a self-sufficient lifestyle. This is Kyle Fisk from Boho, Hobo, and today we will be listening in on episode number 30 with Derek Greenough, or as the music scene likes to call him, Dirk Green. Dirk is a DJ and music producer from Syracuse, New York, with a wide spectrum of musical influences, ranging from electronic, trance, house, and dubstep. He's able to weave these genres into a creative style that allows his personality to shine through. Though he's only 25 years old, he has big visions for the future and relentless ambition to make it all happen. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we hope you all enjoy our conversation with Dirk Green.
It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, for real.
Segue into it.
Yeah.
First off, have you ever? Well, you have a podcast.
Yeah, but no, it's literally us just, like, talking. So, like, I've.
What do you guys talk about?
Like, we were talking about, like, reincarnation last week. Like, we kind of had, like, a little theme. I wouldn't say that I'm, like, you know, skilled at it or, like, know what I'm doing.
I think it's...
we aren't either, honestly.
Yeah.
It was very funny, like, Josh starts one of the episodes, and he's like, let's just get right into this super, like, deep topic. Like,
I know, like, I was literally like, okay, like, that's our, like, main thing, like, he just blew his load, like, way too quick, and let's just get right into it.
So, like, deep conversations. Pretty philosophical.
Yeah, I'd say I get pretty into it.
Nice.
You know?
That's kind of like how our conversations go, too. So, relatable. So, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, my name's Derek Greenough. I'm a DJ producer. Go by Dirk Green. I've been making music for about 6-7 years now. I've gone by a few different names. None of them really fit me. So I've been constantly changing it, and all the people following me have been like, what do you go by? Like,
wait, what's the weirdest name you've used?
Dude, you really
I
know. I get so much slack for this from Josh. Pizza Cat.
Pizza Cat.
Yeah, dude. Not my
name.
So I had this shirt that basically was like a cat in space, and it was on a piece of pizza. And me being me was like, yo, that's awesome, Pizza Cat. I'm going by that. And then I, like, went out and tested it in the field, like, one night, and everybody shot it down. So I was like, nah. I went by my name for a little bit, but then I stuck with Dirk Green because it's just, like, kind of like my name, but nobody else has named that. So, you know what?
You go by Dirk? That's
Dirk
your,
Green.
like, stage name?
Yeah, Dirk Green.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's pretty much how I...
So other than music, are you, like, working on anything else, or is the production just, like, what you're...
So yeah,
right now?
Yeah, I'm mainly all about the music.
Okay.
I mean, I work currently at the print hub, just doing folding
I'm
shirts.
surprised I actually haven't even seen you there, because we're both there every once in a while.
Yeah, I leave past 5 every day, so I'm not.
Why?
Yeah, I saw your Snapchat. You were basically there, like, as I left.
Yeah.
So you work there. What do you do over at the print hub?
So mainly organize, fold shirts, check things for stains, you know, do invoices, check orders.
Okay. So that's like your full-time job?
That's basically, I just switched out of being a server. I was a server at Carrabba's in Fayetteville.
Oh, nice. So
yeah. So I really I love serving, and I've been a server for years, but to make the music I want to make and, you know, keep doing what I'm doing, I had to drop one of them, so
so now you have more time.
Yeah, more time, way more time, to get my work done. You know.
So just giving us a little context here. What would you say like weekly schedules like?
So 10 to 4, I work at the print hub. Usually go to the gym before that. Come home, go to like take a shower, go to the pool, do whatever I have to do, and then I get right into like making music, doing work. I've been doing some remixes for some local artists lately. Basically, I'll work on like make new beats, search for new sounds. Basically, that's my.
Any way you can get your name out.
Yeah.
What are you working out of? Like, what tools you?
The software that I use right now is Ableton Live. Nice. Yeah, that's what I've used the entire time I've been producing. I've tried things like Fruity Loops, Logic, Pro Tools 12. I went to school for audio recording, so I was trained in Pro Tools. But to make EDM music, you can't really use Pro Tools. Like it's just not. It's not happening.
How come? I'm not familiar with.
Well, I mean, you can do it. It's just harder to do. Like the software that I have, it's made to be made with sequence music and like use VSTs, which are like software instruments. Oh. So like you have like your piano. It's basically just like the electronic version of that, and like way different sounds, and like you can go really crazy with it.
Now those preset sounds.
Presets, yeah. So like sound designers will like make these patches and sell them to people, or what you should do being a producer is make your own, which is what I do. But nowadays there's software and companies. It's all out there. Like people just make high quality sounds, sell them. People use them in their songs, and you can't even tell the difference. Like it could be a complete beginner, but have like top notch sound. So
I feel like sounds are just getting recycled.
Exactly. You can hear them in a lot of songs now. Like this one Chainsmokers song, there's this one like drum fill that I literally have. I was listening to it and I heard it and I literally went home and I'm like, I have this exact sound. It's crazy.
I actually when I was living in Burlington the first half of the year, and I made friends with a couple people who are producers as well, and they were like teaching me Ableton. Yeah. So I have like the very like foundational skills of Ableton.
Ableton's really like it's laid out. It's very easy to understand. Mm-hmm. Like
it's similar to like Premiere Pro or something.
Yeah. Yes.
In the way it's set up.
Yeah, I love kind of what's relating the softwares. Like I use After Effects, so I love like relating the things that I do in audio workstations to like Photoshop or like video editing software. So
I feel like the progression of learning these softwares is very similar too. It's just like
key commands are always the same. Like Command Z, always undo. Control Y, redo.
So as someone starting off, like I want to get into music production, what would your advice be for someone starting off?
First off, you have to figure out like what do you want to make, like
the style.
Yeah, like what like draws you most. Like, do you want to play guitar and like record guitar, like play piano, record like bands, like or make like software, like use the software to like make computer music.
Oh, like more electronic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like once you figure out what you want, you can basically choose. So like if you want to record more piano and like guitar, Pro Tools, Logic, also like all software that lets you plug in a MIDI controller and have it accurately represent what you're putting, like the information going in.
Is the MIDI like the fingerboard, like the keypad?
The keypad. So basically whenever you plug in a controller to your computer, it's got to like read the notes somehow, and they use like these it basically it's MIDI. It just it's so hard to explain. You basically put these notes in and it reproduces sounds on a keyboard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
And you like assign different buttons to the different notes.
Yep. So you can assign buttons to do pretty much anything in that software. Like it's very easily mappable, is what they call it. Like if I wanted like my one knob to be a volume knob and have the one right next to that be like a panning knob, which makes things go left or right, I can just easily set that to that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So then you like are prepped for say a show. You like
that's how
I want to fuck around
because you know it so well. Like you're setting it up. So like when you want to reach for that effect, you know where it is because you programmed it. Basically.
Right. Does that take a long time of like prepping, or is it like once you've kind of figured out how to do that on a board, you can just like pretty quickly just set it up?
Pretty quickly once you know what to do, because
Okay.
it gets very like technical. Like
Mhm.
you have to set ranges for things. So once you understand that, yeah, it's super easy. It's just a little like time intensive to like get in and.
It
program.
sounds like you have to like almost have an idea of what the project is going to turn out in the end before you even go into the software. Like you
in
have
a way,
to have like an idea of the general end result that you want to get.
I always have an idea of what I'm going for when I open up the software, because in the end, like the software is just playing notes on a piano. Like I play piano, so like, you know, it's just those regular notes. But then you go into like the sound design of it and really change like the timbre of the song, and like all like make those weird growl sounds. Like it gets really in depth, but it's all basically the same thing. It's just different notes, different sounds.
Yeah, I feel like you just have to get into it and like learn on the go.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can really like have a teacher teach you how to do.
Yeah,
A lot of it, I would say, is it's like, I don't know, like even just like starting a new job, like your first like professional career job is just like getting experience with it, and kind of just being like just lock yourself in a room for like 4 hours and just fuck around, and you'll just kind of figure shit out.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of fun too. Like if you're not having fun, it's like why are you doing it? Like,
and I feel like when I started it was kind of like I was going on an adventure, because there's so many new tools and things I haven't like messed around with before. And like once I kind of made a 2-bar song, and then I was like, all right, now I want to fuck everything up with like putting all the effects and stuff. That's when it gets really fun.
Yeah, you can go really wild with it, but sometimes that's a bad thing because then like I'll have an idea for a song and it'll be in one genre, and then I'll like have like a different, you know, like switch up idea, and then like the entire song gets changed. Like I redo everything. So it's kind of like a blessing and a curse, but I just save everything for later now. Because I used to just like save projects and like different loops and beats that I've made. And then it just like hide in the corner of my like, you know, in my files somewhere. I lose it. But now they have it so that you can, they're called ALC files in Ableton. You literally drag the file into your folder and it saves it the exact way that you made it. So like all the MIDI information we were talking about, so all the notes that I programmed in there and the sounds that I like made it, like all the tools that I used to shape the sound all get saved into one file. So I can just drag it in whenever I want and it'll be there. So it's super effective.
So as a beginner, you've dabbled in a lot of different softwares.
Yeah.
Would you say Ableton is the easiest to learn?
I'd say Ableton is probably one of the easier ones. It's the easiest to understand. Like
it makes sense.
Absolute beginner, not knowing like what was going on. If you went into Logic as opposed to Ableton, there's so much more technical stuff. Like I don't even like know how to do half the things I know how to do in Ableton and Logic. Like things are hidden. You got to know like different paths to take to get a certain like result. So I mean, it's easy. You can learn it, but
and there's plenty of information online. There's tutorials. And
tutorials. Yeah, that's honestly been huge. My whole progression, like as a producer's, the information from other people, like Reddit, you know, YouTube channels, blogs, like friends that produce, like always good to have.
It's kind of cool. Like I've noticed, at least in the music production world, maybe not as much like individuals like rappers or anything, but like music production in itself is a very collaborative zone because everyone's trying to like find ways to leverage what they're doing off of what someone else has done and kind of try to like
that's the big thing in music, like as a whole. Like everybody's building off what the last guy did, you know, and you keep innovating, and like someday maybe I'll make something somebody will get inspired from and they'll make their own thing from it. Like as long as the knowledge keeps like flowing to the next guy, then you know you've done something right.
Now, what if you're like a forefather and like you're creating something that's totally like off the wall that no one's ever heard, and then it's kind of cool to think of it that way because then you're the innovator and everyone else below you is like, oh, I gotta take those beats,
exactly,
like morph into my style,
or like sounds, like you notice a lot of there'll be like what's the word, like accents of someone else's work within in your like a new song that someone drops. You're like, oh, that gives me like the vibes of this artist.
Exactly. Yeah, you can hear all like what's it called? Like you're taking inspiration from people.
Right.
You can literally hear that in people's music. Like I've heard so many bands that I could tell listen to like a bunch of Smash Mouth growing up. Like as you hear it, like personally, like there are like 5 or 6 different genres of EDM that I like certain parts of it. So I take the parts I like and throw them into my own music. So I'm kind of I like to use like a Mr. Potato Head reference.
Yeah.
Because like you can literally just take parts, you know, make something new and be like, wow, that's cool. You know?
True.
So.
And I feel like every genre within electronic music is just like, I think everything is just a spectrum. So like nothing will sound awful if you mix like say some house with like a dubstep drop together. You can make it work.
You can make it work, but when you're DJing, which is opposed to like mixing and like producing, they don't work.
Right.
Because they're in 2 way different BPMs and like when you're DJing, the whole goal is to like have the songs be the same.
Like a good flow.
Yeah. Like if house music basically is made at 128 beats per minute and dubstep and like trap music is all made at 140. So if I play the house music at 128 and play the dubstep song at the same exact time I play them, if they were in the same BPM, if I play them at the same time, they would play together and like you couldn't tell the difference that there's 2 songs playing. But when one's like really off like that, you can just
when
it's
you
so
switch like tracks, it'll be like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, like you're like dancing and then all of a sudden like new song and the beat's like over there and you're like and like the people stop dancing. Like that's the point of DJing is to like literally not let the sounds end. Like you're flowing each song and like if you don't notice that I played an entire set and didn't switch songs, like if you haven't noticed I switched a song yet, then I've done my job right, you know?
Yeah. Makes sense. It's kind of like, there's like a movie, I like watched part of it. It was like Zac Efron. Yeah, that one. But
that
like,
one.
It's like walking I just think it's like a good visual representation of like
at the pool.
Building. Yeah, you're like building up.
That is
so
that
you
is
can build up to
that
a
is
quicker beat, you know?
That is an actual technique.
So it's like more of a gradual.
Yeah.
Build, as
so like
opposed to just dun dun.
Yeah, you don't want to like
190.
You don't start off with Celine Dion and then go into Skrillex. Like that's not like how you do it. But like
back to back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just like went balls deep into like all
the
that
conceptual music production.
We'll come back to this, but like let's bring back and get a little bit into like your backstory and like kind of what got you into doing sound production. So like, where'd you grow up, and you know what things were kind of inspiring to you?
Yeah. All right, so I'm from Camillus, New York. I went to West Genesee High School. Nice. Growing up, like I never really played instruments. Like I played violin when I was a kid, but like we were talking like 7 years old. So I never played an instrument up until I graduated high school.
Okay.
And that's when I started getting into DJing and EDM producing. In high school, I used to go to a lot of raves. You know, Excision, Skrillex, like all the big guys that come through. I would always go to these raves with my buddy Ryan, who's crazy. Yeah, at the Westcott Theater. That's like my home. Nice. And it still is. Like that's where I play most of my shows.
Do you know Tyler Purin?
No.
He went to our high school, but he was like a promoter or something there for a while. So I figured I'd ask.
No. Yeah, I'll have to look into him.
Just random side note.
Yeah. So went to school West Genesee. Oh yeah. So went to a bunch of raves. I really didn't know what I wanted to do like with my life or do like at all. Like I went to OCC immediately after college. Not even a second thought. Like I didn't want to go to a college and pay a bunch of money not knowing what I wanted to do.
Get loaded in debt.
Yeah, basically get super loaded in debt when I could go to OCC for 2 years and then kind of just like figure it out, you know. Which is what I did because the first semester I was there, I was sitting in history class. Literally so random. Like I'm daydreaming outside, like looking outside, and it like popped into my mind to just like buy a DJ controller because I've been like going to all these raves. Like I was going to one the night before, and I started looking it up on Amazon. I wanted one for a Christmas present. I got it. Mix Track Pro. If you're looking into getting into DJing, that's the best thing to get into, for real.
Nice.
So you were a freshman at the time?
I was a freshman. Literally, like, the first week of college, like, this happened.
Oh.
I didn't.
Wow, that's a lot.
It fell into my lap. Like,
Awesome.
I had no idea, like, this is what I want to do. So once I got the DJ controller, I started looking, like, at all this different kinds of music, and I was, like, blown away at, like, what you could do with it. Like, we were just talking about with, like, lining them up and, like, mixing them. I basically figured out that I could tell a story through these mixes and, like, different genres, different BPMs, different, like, you know, keys, which means, like, different emotions of the song. It all, like, worked together. And after, like, doing that for 2 years, and, like, playing parties at SU, and, like, I DJ'd a few frats. No real shows yet at that point. Like, so 2 years go by, and I talked to my buddy Jade, who's a big dubstep producer now. He's a local kid. He used to go by Director. If you know who that is. He basically told me, like, yo, like, DJing's awesome, like, but you're mainly playing other people's music.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you should get into, you know, making your own music. And it was like an epiphany moment. I'm like, you know what, that makes sense. I should do that. Yeah.
So how long in between, like, you initially got it to starting making music?
Yeah, so from the moment in history class until I played the frats and, like, talked to my friend, it was 2 years of DJing. Still didn't even know an instrument yet. Then I went to college at Oswego State, and
what do you major in?
Audio recording. So
at that point, you kind of knew what you wanted to do.
The DJing helped me figure out where in, like, the subsection of, like, what I wanted to do with my life, like audio. Like, I found it, like, boom. Audio recording is more like recording bands and, like, you know, processing and, like, doing things for, like, radios and, like, podcasts too, you know?
Yeah.
Sound for movies, like, a lot of different avenues to explore there. And it's still things that I want to do. Like,
but
later
you're
on.
mainly the music.
But I'm mainly into EDM production. So as I'm at Oswego, I started learning EDM production. Started learning piano, took piano lessons. Really made it my life. Like, I don't think a lot of people can, like, start something and then, like, get to where I am, like, as quick as I get. Like, not trying to sound like that. But I put so much time into it, like, day in and day out. Like, that was all I did.
Did you have any like, while you were on this, like, realization moment, like, were you spending your free time doing anything else, or was it really just focused on that?
Oh, like, the 2 years I was, like, DJing at parties and, like, still at school, I was, you know, partying a lot with, like, friends, and I still had, like, my social life. Like,
right. Did you? But I mean, like, more in the effect of, like, were you focusing your time on any other hobbies or, like, sports or, like, anything like that?
No, not really. I never, like, my main hobby growing up was playing video games.
Okay.
Like, I played lacrosse growing up, but then I found World of Warcraft, and that kind of, you know,
yeah.
put everything down the drain for a couple of years. So once I got out of that loop, then I got into the music loop, and
that's like an infinite loop.
Yeah,
Warcraft.
Exactly. I got out, and now I'm in a different one, but I like my loop now.
At least you're doing something with it in the real world.
Exactly.
You're in a much more lucrative, potentially lucrative loop.
Sustainable.
Exactly. At least the things I obtain in this loop, you know, I can actually keep.
Right.
As opposed to World of Warcraft.
Another update.
Yeah. But so played a bunch of piano. Like, I played piano a lot now. Like, I always thought, like, if I was gonna learn music production, I should probably learn an instrument.
Yeah. So it's like keyboard piano?
Keyboard piano. Like, I started to get classically trained. I learned enough about chords and, like, chord progressions and, like, music theory to really know enough. Yeah, it's huge. Like, music producers nowadays, like, you can get by just by using your ear and, like, hearing, like, what sounds good. Like, when you're making a melody, you can kind of hear, like, when a note is, like, out of key, and you're like, oh, wow. And then you go to the next one, and you're like, that's good. But if you know the music theory, you can kind of skip that and go right into just, like...
You just know exactly where things
you know what you're doing. You're not, like, messing around. Like,
it gets into, like, the science of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. It is. It's the science of music is literally music and math at the same time. Like, it's crazy. Like, audio does so many crazy things like inside your brain.
To think that there's like numbers running through your ears.
Yeah.
It's fucking
There's
Wow.
patterns like all the times. Like when I'm playing, I'll like think of it more as like geometrical shapes and patterns.
Whoa, that's trippy.
Yeah, like because like the numbers are all lined up in a scale, like 1 through 7, and then like the notes like 2, 4, 6 all go together, and same with chords. It all links up. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Damn, that's sick. Okay, so it took you 2 years of DJing to get going on like producing. How long did it take you to like really start like making?
Yeah,
these
definitely.
songs now?
Definitely the first year I made absolute dog shit. Like it was like terrible stuff, but you know, you gotta make terrible music.
And that was
too.
already after like 2 years of DJing.
Yeah, 2 years of DJing. Like I had had intro versions of this software before that, but I never really got serious about the like producing side of it until I went to Oswego.
And how old are you now?
I'm 25. So I was about 20, 21 when I first got into DJing.
Oh wow, damn. So like you 2 years, and then you basically been producing music for only like what, 3 years? Max?
3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4.
So were you at Syracuse and then you transferred, or were you just like not in school at that time?
No, I went to OCC for 2 years, and then did like a 2+2 program and went to
Gotcha.
Oswego. I've just lived in Syracuse
Nice.
in all my life, so
Yeah. So it made sense.
I'm just always around here. Like I that's how I met Josh Desimone.
Mhm.
Was he had a party one night and I had asked him to like perform, but they had already booked up. But then I met him and like everybody else like in the scene, like Drew, like it was like that was the opening door to like all the creatives of Syracuse. It was crazy.
That's
He's
awesome.
the gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper.
Literally.
It's fucking insane. Okay, so it took you like what, like a year of
Yeah, a year of bad music. And then after I started to really figure out like the patterns and like the ways I could make the music I heard in my head and the music that I liked hearing, it started to get a lot easier for me, and I could like push more stuff out quicker. And every song I made, you can definitely see improvement.
Progression.
Yeah. So I still don't even think like my stuff's anything crazy.
I'm not gonna lie, I was so I work at a marketing agency, so like the first of the month is like report time, and I was bumping to your shit this morning.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
I was like, I gotta get in the podcast mode, and also like
hypes you up a little. Like, you can definitely feel my ADD through my music. For real though, like I'll be sitting there and I'm just like, yes, like I sometimes have to stand up because like you get an idea and then you just know exactly what you're gonna do. You just get so excited, you just want it to be done already. So yeah, thank you. That's awesome.
I remember the first time, so I had like known about your work before even like thinking about like, oh, we should interview. Also, I didn't even know that you knew those guys yet, so it kind of made sense afterwards. It's like, oh, this would be a more easy conversation to have. But it was you used the centipede graphic with and that was like that caught my eye because I was like, it's relatable, you know. And
that album or that EP is mainly my whole video game like fascination growing up. Like that was the embodiment of that, and like all the songs kind of like flow together, kind of like, you know, different points in my life. That's what I was trying to convey through it, you know?
How many albums do you have out right now?
Albums, none. But
okay. So what was that? Like
that's an EP. So an EP is just like it's called extended play. Like you have singles, which is just like one song that you release.
Okay.
And then you have EPs, which is like 3 or 4, maybe sometimes 5 songs. Albums are like 8 to 12 songs usually.
Yeah.
So I'll drop it now. I am working on an album though. And it's first album, so I have a bunch of people from Syracuse that are gonna be on it. It's gonna be really cool.
Like singing on it?
Singing on it. Dom Shigatano is gonna be doing some drums on it.
Nice.
My friend Steve, who works at Subcast Studios downtown, he's gonna be singing on it.
Just like a collab album?
Yeah, collab album, and like there's gonna be 3 or 4 collabs, and then the rest are gonna be originals.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm pretty pumped for that. Like it's my first album. I want it to be, you know.
What would you say your finest piece of work is right now?
Honestly, I've been bumping to one of my own songs, which I usually never do. Like, I like on repeat. I did a remix for AU5, which is he had a remix competition. He's like a pretty well known DJ. I didn't win, but the drop that I had made is probably, I don't know even how I made it at this point. Like, I have to go back and like remember what I did because I really like the sound. Like, it just, sometimes it just flows out of you,
Right.
and you are just like a third party, and the music's like coming through you and like going into the computer, and I'm just like, all right, let's go.
It's like the universe is channeling this energy.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Literally just a third party in it. But yeah, I already forgot what we were talking about. What were we just talking about?
Your best piece.
I think we're done.
Best piece. Oh yeah. AU5 remix. Check it out. It's my favorite.
I'm actually curious because my friend that I was mentioning, Kai Chimura, he also did a remix competition. I'm wondering if it was the same one.
Maybe. There's this website called Splice, which is where I get all of my like big sounds from. Like they have like sound banks. Like they're like card packs, but for like sounds. And sometimes they'll put on like remix competitions, and they've been doing it a lot more now. So he probably did it through Splice. Might not have been the exact one, but if it was, it's
I'm after this, I'm gonna ask him because that'd be funny because he definitely like listened to most of them because he was like he's very much the same in terms of like energy about this. So that'd be interesting.
For anybody starting out, like remix competitions are the best way to learn. Because you already have all, like, it gives you the stems, which are just the, like, individual, like, instruments of that song, like, all laid out so you can mess with them how you want.
Right.
So, like, you don't have to, like, worry about, like, arranging or, like, different, like, picking different sounds. It's kind of, you already have a starting point.
Right.
And then you can go in and, like, do some work to it and make it your own. But it's definitely, like, a good, like, learning tool.
So is this, like, a live competition? Like, you're dragging and dropping all these.
It's not live. You just like they give you all these sounds, and then like you have like a month, and then you submit it, and then they'll review it, and then like you can win like an official release on like a label or like some like goodies like software like coffee mug or something.
Here's a pen.
Yeah, here's a pen. Put 20 hours in the studio. You get a nice pen.
That's awesome. Shit, what was I gonna say? Okay, so you've had how much time would you say you've actually been like putting out music?
Like how long do I spend like as
no,
a whole?
No, I
like,
mean like since the first song that you actually like posted somewhere. How much time has that been till now?
The first song. It would be the first year I was at SWO, which is about like 3.5, approaching 4 years ago. It was like a really like old song that I made, and I just wanted to like get it out because I'm somewhat of a perfectionist. Like I hear my stuff, I'm like that sounds good, but it could be better. Like I'll always revisit it, and like that will sometimes keep me from putting my music out because I'm just like, it could be better.
Do you think that way of thinking is a positive thing or potentially like negative?
I think it's a positive thing as long as you use it to be a positive. Yeah. So like I'll like I just forgot what we were talking about. I have short-term memory.
Oh no, yeah. Being a perfectionist.
Oh yeah.
In terms of like not actually putting out a song because you don't think it's ready, but
yeah. So in some cases that's definitely been a thing where I was a perfectionist and I like held off on it. Then I gave it like 2 weeks and like came back to it and listened to it and was like, there's a lot wrong here, and I'd fix it. But other times I would come back to a song after like 2 months and be like, what was I thinking? This is great. And then I'd just post it. But it's not until like I come back to it with like a fresh set of like ears that I really realize like, oh, this is good to go. Like I'm always thinking like, what can I add or what can I remove or how can I make this like snare sound better?
It'll never be perfect.
Exactly.
100%.
There is never a solid end point. You kind of just got to have the ear to be like, good enough, move on, start a new song. Keep working on new songs, keep getting better.
If you're spending too much time, like you can overspend your time on one song to the point where you're not putting out as much as you could.
Yeah, and that's where the perfectionist is not a good thing, because like I could spend 4 hours on a snare, like just trying to get it to sit like with like in the mix, which is really just making sure it's not too loud or too quiet. And like I could literally spend 4 hours on that, but you have to like prioritize things and like, sometimes sacrifice things and be like, I want to get this out, but that like this just isn't working, so you delete it.
Right.
Keep working until it's good.
There's actually like psychological laws behind this. Like they have productivity graphs. And it's basically like you reach a point in your time spent on a project, and your productivity starts to decline.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the same effect.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense.
I've noticed that a lot too, just with like anything I've done, is that if I'm working on a project that I know it's gonna take me a while, saying, okay, I'm just gonna stop now and then come back like a day later, 2 days later, and then sitting back down and kind of like playing back or reading back or whatever. You're like, oh, okay, like I know exactly what I need to do here.
Exactly. Like you sometimes need a break from, especially audio. Like you can get ear fatigue very quickly. So after like an hour, or it's better 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, like your ears get fatigued naturally. Like you should just, even if you don't want to, just like take your headphones off, or just like get up and stand, like take a walk around outside, get a fresh mind. Yeah, working out's the best for it, honestly. Sometimes I'm lazy, so I'll just go for a quick walk outside, take a few breaths of air, and be like, go back in.
I am alive.
Yeah.
Get those quick puffs of air in.
Exactly.
Get pumped up.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. Like when you're in the studio for 8-9 hours, like that's about the time it takes to make like a full song. In my opinion, if I'm really focused and like in that mindset, I can crank a full song out in 8 or 9 hours. But when you don't take a break for 8 or 9 hours and you come out of your room, you're literally looking like a zombie. Like, like the light actually hurts you. Like it's nuts.
Oh, to hit on that. I've done some research in like music production. They say that it's important for you, if you start a song, to finish it from start to finish.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I can't say that I always follow that rule. Sometimes I just want to like make something
or go to bed
just to get it out. Yeah, or go to bed. But it definitely is better to from start to stop, because you can like lose your train of thought.
And
like
with the storytelling,
like I'll have like an idea for like a bass line, and if I don't get that out immediately, like it's gonna be gone. Like I can't just like be like, oh, I'll come back to that later tonight. I got to get it all out now, and then I can come back once I get like the composition of the sound and like song done. Then I can come back and like shape it and like do all these like editing tools.
It's like a flash of creative genius, and you're like, I got to get this into the fucking
it is like
workstation.
I'll lose it. Like my ADD is terrible.
That's why like people always say like if you have a good idea to like write it down, because it's so easy to forget, and it's very easy to never come back to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you might end up making a completely different song because you didn't write down that original baseline.
So it happened to me last night, for instance. Like I was working on a remix for a local artist, and as I'm working on it, I just got inspired by another song I was listening to, and I literally just saved the project, made a new project, and made an entire like drop and like build up in like 20 minutes. And it's honestly pretty dope. Like I don't know where it came from, but I just had to get it out. Like I wouldn't have sat down today and been like, oh, I'm gonna make that beat I thought about.
No, so what does it feel like when you get those insights?
It's like this weird burst of like excitement and like a little bit of anxiety, because I know that if I don't get it out immediately, like it's gonna go away.
So you're like racing.
So I'm like, fuck whatever I was just doing. Let's go. Like I go right into it. Like, and I just get really like focused and like, I don't know, like it's sort of like a meditative state, I guess, in a way.
They talk about this, they call it like a flow state.
Yeah.
When you like lose track of time and like reality.
Yeah.
And you're just like fucking honing in on your craft.
I feel like the way I would explain it is it's very euphoric.
Yeah.
It's you just get like, you feel like you're like outside your body, and you're just like, that kind of like you're saying, where you're like, the third party like
Yeah.
making shit happen, but like something else is like
Exactly. I feel like I'm
blasting
grabbing from some other plane sometimes.
Yeah,
Like
it's so crazy.
just like ideas happen like that. Like they just pop into your head, and sometimes you're not always the one thinking it.
Yeah.
We're having this conversation. I can feel like the passion coming out. And I feel like we're also in a generation where there's a lot of people that don't know what they want to do with their lives. Like I remember back in high school, I was like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And like you going through that progression of like not knowing, having like existential crisis, to then knowing, and then being super fucking passionate and like giving your life into this is like, how would you describe that progression, and like what advice would you give for someone who is in that like existential crisis?
Well, I would tell them to just not be as worried about it as you think. Like,
Were you worried though?
I honestly knew graduating in high school that I didn't know what I wanted to do, but that didn't like keep me down or like give me anxiety at all. I kind of just, like I always just like let it flow, like things happen. Like, and even then when I was in that class, it did just pop into my head, and then I just knew, and now I was like, all of a sudden I was like, okay, like I got it.
What did you do to get to that point of like the flash of this is it?
I just, I did what I like to do in my spare time. Like I had fun. Like I went to a bunch of raves. That was really
inspired.
Yeah, that was really the driving force. Like if I never saw Skrillex for the first time, I would have never gone to any of the other raves. I never would have, wanted to do it myself, and I never would have, started to do it.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like immerse yourself in environments that are attractive.
Yeah,
to
just
you.
do what you like to do, and then the rest will figure it out, like itself out.
So
it's so easy to say.
It is easy to say. Like I'm not saying like that's like the be all solution.
Yeah.
You still gotta like, do some work for it and like really like figure it out. Like I wanted to do it, but I wasn't exactly sure like how I was gonna do it.
And I feel like when you started going to raves, you didn't start going to them with the intention that you were going to one day produce music. So it's kind of like sometimes it's it's like subconscious, like in the future you'll be like, oh shit, like all that time I've been going to these raves, like
law of attraction.
I'm
dude.
woke now.
For real. No, for real though.
What's your definition of law of attraction? Since you're bringing it up.
Yeah. Pretty much like I use a lot of affirmations, and like I'll just I write things down all the time, and I believe in like brain magic and tricking myself. So if I'll write a certain phrase that I want to accomplish like every day 15 times, I don't always get to it, but I'll think about it at that point. I'll just like keep saying it in my head, like what I want to accomplish.
To try to trick yourself?
To try to trick myself, because subconsciously, me telling myself that is like telling my brain, like, this is what I want. So when I'm not thinking about that, it forms it's hard to explain, but it forms the neurons to like get you to do what you want to do. Like, gives you the avenues to explore. Like, I wrote all those affirmations and then got asked to like play a festival. Like, weird things like happen like that, where it just kind of like draws into, like, it comes to you.
It like almost opens you up to opportunities that you didn't think of before.
It kind of like shines a light on the way a little bit more.
Yeah.
I've
always noticed that, like, if I'm in a state of just like no ideas are flowing and I'm kind of being lazy mentally, nothing around me is really happening. And then you get into like a creative flow, into that like flow state, and you're doing something and you're thinking about these like affirmations, these things that you want to get done. Yeah. And like randomly, like it's like the stars align, just like shit starts happening.
Exactly.
And it's like it's almost like a compounding
exponential force.
It just like starts going in your favor.
Exactly.
If you like jump on the train.
It's literally just getting the ball rolling.
Right.
And then like as the ball keeps getting bigger, like keep adding more things on, like you narrow down like what you have to do and like when to do it and like how to do it and like all that.
It's literally like mental working out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like going to the gym. But like this is you're working out in your head.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
you're building new like pathways in your brain that weren't there before. So I feel like whenever that happens to me and like I look down, I'm like, shit, I have so much stuff I need to do now. You're just like, holy shit.
Yeah. That's it. Like when I'm in those, I wake up every day completely lazy. Like no doubt about it. Like I just want to play video games, watch Netflix. But I'll go for a little walk and write those affirmations. By the time I finish writing it, I'm already back in that flow state, and I'm like, I want to go back and like get to work, like, and I'll like turn out a song or like, work on something like productive.
I think it's good for everyone to have like. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that you kind of start your morning out kind of slow and just kind of work your way into it, because like you have 24 hours in a day, and it's like if you're still putting out work, putting out something each day, I feel like you don't have to be so hard on yourself,
No, you're right. Yeah, you definitely do need breaks. Like
like I love my sleep so much, and like I've been getting down on myself recently that like I'm lazy in the morning, but then I look back at the end of the day, I'm like, look at all this shit I did today. Like, why am I even getting upset about it?
Exactly. A big thing that I started doing, I've been reading this book, which is super, super helpful, and with all the things like that's how I started learning the law of attraction and like affirmations. It's called Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. Yeah, super good book. Oh, there it goes again. Yeah, I lose it all the time.
So now this
Tools of Titans.
Tools of Titans.
Building on mindset. You're like learning about affirmations through this book.
Oh, big thing that I do every day is like just make your bed. First thing you do, make your bed. Get the first task done. Like, I learned that a long time ago, but it's super efficient. Like you get your first task done, it makes it easier to get the next one done, and the next one, and the next one. And like you were saying, by the end, like you're in that flow state and like you're turning out that work.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that you've always had this mindset, or is it something that you grew into?
I definitely grew into it.
When was that switch?
A lot of like the big like philosophical stuff that I've been into is definitely in the past like year or two. The law of attraction, like really like trying to make my dreams a reality and like doing anything I can to get there. Yeah, definitely growing up. Like I mean, I had advice from like my parents, growing up, but none of it was like really geared towards like what I was trying to do. It was like all just like life stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say in the last 2 years.
Nice. Okay. And that was a slow build-up. It wasn't like you just went straight into it.
I didn't just... I started watching a lot more YouTube videos, like listening to Alan Watts. That's a big one. Like, he's crazy.
He's great.
Well,
literally.
No, I don't mean it that way, but like, yeah, he's like a very woke human being to listen to.
He really is.
Yeah,
like,
it makes you think a lot.
When I hear him talk, I literally think I'm in like the Roman days and like on one of those huge pillars, like altars. And he's just up there talking like, like in 300, like they had the. That's what I literally think about. Very philosophical.
Yeah.
Other YouTube channels though, I'll watch like other law of attraction stuff. Like I'll listen to like meditations before I go to bed. Just anything to kind of just like subconsciously trick myself like while I'm sleeping. Yeah.
Do you
feel like your whole? This could get a little deep here, but like, do you feel like your personality changed at all?
Yeah. I feel, well, they say that your personality changes every 7 years, like completely. But besides that, I'd say like when I like really got serious about my music, a part of me got left behind because I had to like make room for all the new stuff that I have to think about and do. So like a lot of partying kind of like got cut out, like, for a good reason. I mean, I did it for a while. Like, nobody wants to drink for years after college. But some do. But sometimes they don't want to. They're just doing it. But, damn. This guy happened a lot.
Changed. So it went from
partying to...
Yeah, so after I left partying behind and I had a lot more time to put into what I wanted to do, I definitely think a part of me changed. And it just got a lot more serious. Like, I'm a very, like, joking person. But now I'm more of a serious, like, if I'm going to do this, I got to do
like straight edge, discipline.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say straight edge. I mean, but I definitely...
Goofy,
still goofy. I still, like, make room for having fun, but I try to get as much work done as I can.
Yeah, you're just more disciplined on like your work ethic side of things.
Yeah,
which is I think that's a healthy thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if you want to make your life around this.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you have to do. I always think that people who are like world class famous, like people always look at them like, oh, how'd you get so good, and like they always like seem so humble in a way. And
the people at the top.
The people at the top, like a lot of these people, like they're so good at what they do, like they're the best of the best, but they're so humble. They're like, yeah, like I just do it. Like those, oh man, those,
those people.
Goddamn
people.
Those goddamn people.
Yeah, like all right. So like, what about these people at top?
Oh,
like,
so when you make it to the very top, like you know that you're supposed to be there because you've done all this hard work to get there. So like it's kind of like you're not like super cocky about it. Like you're kind of just like, this is just what I do. Like I'm not. This isn't rocket science. Like you put all this time into your craft.
Yeah, you've mastered what you're doing, or at least mastered more of it than the average person. So by default, everyone who's under you or who has less experience, the way we talk about it, experience points, they think you're like some fucking god. Like someone like, say, for example, like Flume. Let's talk about Flume for a second. Like he's like just like music
prodigy.
Yeah, he's fucking insane. Like the stuff he does, and to him, he's like, he's like, I thought it was insane the first time I sold out a crowd.
Yeah,
and everyone else is like, why are you even like surprised?
You get almost like
so talented.
Exactly.
You get almost like desensitized to the sensation of the achievement.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm saying. Like, you know, like Kevin Hart plays all these sold out shows every day, but like he's put in all this work. Like he knows like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like I'm doing what I wanted to do.
And I feel like a lot of angst that people have is because they don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
Or they're just like, fuck, this isn't going to work out. But if you're a natural, if you're a master at something, then it's like day in, day out. It's like going to the fucking factory. Like cranking out work on the go. And you can be at like on command with like genius.
Yeah, you just you turn it on like a switch.
Yeah, that's... So do you feel that you're on your way to getting to...
master status.
Not saying that you need to be like, yes, I'm gonna be the fucking next Skrillex, but like, do you feel that what you've done so far is getting you there?
Yeah, I definitely think that I'm seeing the results that I've like wanted to. Like I've had like milestones. Like first milestone I ever had when I was DJing was play at the Westcott Theater. Crossed it off the list. Next was DJ at Lava nightclub. Crossed out the list. You know, and like now it's play at festival, and I'm about to do that in a month.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm DJing at Coleman's bar every Thursday.
Okay.
So that's another thing. Like I've like knocked down all of these like goals I've had. So
and it's like with each milestone, you're just getting more natural.
Yeah.
Getting more comfortable with your craft.
I basically wanted like, you know, feel like put all my feels out, like try everything that there is. Like I DJ'd an engagement party once. I don't want to do that at all. Like I didn't want to do it while I was there, but I did it just to see what it was like. I got paid $400 to do it, but I didn't want to do it, and now I know I won't do that again. Like I'm DJing at Coleman's, I like it. I don't love it, but you know,
it's paying you.
It's paying me. Yeah. It's paying the bills, but it's getting me closer to the one place I want to be.
Yeah.
And where's that?
The main goal has been touring international DJ artists.
That's huge.
Yeah, I've always like
festivals,
like always moving around. Like I've always wanted to travel and like do what I love while I travel. So it's kind of like hitting two birds with one stone. Because I mean, I see all these other DJs nowadays. Like they're playing Coachella and then they're already on a plane to go play EDC. You know, like that's always been very like high up in my mind.
That would be sick.
That's like getting on these private jets. Like not saying I'd be on a private jet, but just having a plane ticket paid for me to go to X, Y, and Z state to play my music. That is the goal right there. Just to like play for other people and like, you know.
Yeah, and literally be like, you hop on a stage and there's already like shit tons of people there already. And you're just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I definitely love crowd reaction. Like when I'm DJing, like mixing is like great and like a great hobby to have. Like, but you can't do it like all in your bedroom by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to go out and like play for people to like really know how to like rock a crowd. Because like you could play one song that completely like destroys your dance floor and they'll all like leave, like go in the back, like start talking to each other. Then you'll play a song that's like fire and they'll all come back and start dancing. So once you like learn how to like read the crowd and like what songs they like and what songs they don't like.
Crowd control.
Yeah. Literally. So yeah, like that's like a huge like big satisfaction for me at the end of a show is like when people come up to me and they're like, yo, like that was awesome. Like I loved it. Like I love that plus traveling plus doing what I love. All that together.
So that's the dream.
That's the dream.
So
you're well on your way.
Well on my way, yeah. That's the goal. Like honestly, like playing this festival is huge for me. Like I'm super like nervous, honestly.
A lovely time.
A lovely time.
I'm interested about your set as well at a lovely time. So I don't know what you know about a lovely time from last year. Were you there?
I was not there.
Okay,
I almost went, but I think I was out of town.
So like I feel like last year was more of a test on like the people who were putting it on to like just prove like, okay, we can put on an event and it's not gonna crash and burn and nothing fucking
cops aren't gonna come.
Like, and like they did that. Did a shit ton of people show up? No, but you know what? Like whatever. You got
first time festival
humble beginnings, right?
Yeah.
And so they're saying that this year it's at least going to have more than double of what they had last year, which is dope.
It's awesome.
I'm just interested because I think you're probably like one of the only like electronic.
Oh yeah, there's only two DJs on Friday night and
who else? Do you know who else is?
Yeah, Natronic.
Okay.
I used to see him at like all the parties I was playing in at SU. He went to Theta Chi, which is one of the friends that I DJ at. So he's Saturday night. I think he's playing like a disco set.
Okay.
My set is going to be a little bit different. I'm basically going to give people the full rave experience.
Yeah, I'm excited for that because like I'm a big raver, so like I was like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah, at first I was like, okay, this is more of like a jam band kind of like,
That's
not
why
EDM.
I'm interested to see like how that dynamic will play in.
I was like trying to like think about my set, like what do I want to do, like because I always like try to like like I was like telling you earlier, like make a story out of it. Like when I'm picking all the songs that I'm gonna like.
So you're making a custom set list for a lovely time?
Yeah, I make every time I like play a set, I'll always make it different. Like I never play the same set twice, basically.
I respect that.
Yeah, well, it's more for me because like I can't like I would just get annoyed. Like some DJs have like a pre-made set list. They just get up there, press play, and then pretend like they're doing stuff. And like that, like I can tell most people can't, like because they don't know what to look for.
Or if you're just paying attention to enough of their sets, you realize like, oh, this is the same set you played last time.
Yeah.
So you'll actually like start spinning and like mix.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm mixing on the entire time. Like I like take different parts of songs. Like I'll take a build up from this song. I use my own songs and other people's at this point. Like I'll like weave in different parts. So like I'll take the build up from this drop or this song that I like. And maybe I'll use one of my drops. Like it'll drop into that, and then maybe when the drop ends, I'll do a double drop and have a drop from a different song come in. So I'm always like loading new songs in, playing them, taking the other song out, switching it, and like I call it quick mixing because like I'm just like literally taking parts and like every 30 seconds there's a new song. Basically.
You're on the fly.
I'm always like it's
at the same time no one even like recognizes it's a new song.
Yeah, exactly. So they don't even know. Like they might think that it's all. Some people even have accused me of pre-making my set list, which is just a compliment because that means that I just didn't have any of those accidental like when the song is out of alignment with another one, like in terms of time, and you can tell that it's like out of time.
Yeah.
If I don't do that, people will assume that it's just like pre-made because like. Yeah, it's
once a year you're like, I made I did so well that
you couldn't even tell.
That's like the haters, but like you're also giving getting a compliment.
Yeah, they're giving me a
They
compliment.
don't realize that they're complimenting you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So how many like sets, or I mean, you maybe have done like a lot and you don't know how many, but like have you done like a decent amount of actual sets with your music involved?
Yeah, so I've played a bunch of shows at the Westcott, like opening up for like I don't know, I don't expect you guys to know them, but like Carnage, Dad's Sick,
Damn.
Hero Bust, Dion Timmer.
I don't know him.
A lot of people, Bear Grylls, all these people come through and like I'll play.
You have like a pretty good portfolio in front of you.
Like I've been kind of like the resident opener at the Westcott for years.
Do you go right before them?
Now I do.
Okay.
I used to just play it at the very beginning of the night. You know, like you kind of work your way up.
Working in there.
Yeah. So like now I'm right before.
So there's a different person I wanna ask you if you know, because he actually produced. He went by Quasar. It's Scott O'Connor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
so
know
you
Scott.
do know him. Okay.
Yeah, he was cool. Yeah, I played a couple shows with him.
Nice.
I think he was on the Bear Grylls show with me. Yeah, super cool dude.
Yeah.
I don't think he's DJing anymore though.
No, I don't think so. I was like looking up his stuff not so long ago. I was like, oh damn, he hasn't really put anything out.
Yeah.
But I figured like that would be someone you would actually know.
Yeah, no, he made some cool stuff too.
Very
It's
dark.
like heavy dub stuff.
So, you have a question?
Yeah. Earlier you were talking about like really capturing your emotions in the songs that you're making. What would you say like your emotional kind of like palette is?
So I kind of view that in terms of like 3 different genres. Like I'll sit down in the studio and like whatever I'm feeling that day, I'll make. So if I'm feeling like happier and more like kind of like vibey, and I'll make like some like house music, some like melodic content, something like a lot of like arpeggios and like synthesized sounds. If I'm feeling like a little bit like more like let's rage, I'll make some like dubstep, some like crazy like 4 on the floor, like everybody's
and that's
like
different beats per minute.
Different like energy level. Like you're like you got the bass face that everybody calls it. It's like grungy, like oh yeah,
into it.
And like when I'm making like the more housey stuff, I'm more like sitting like on a beach, just like sipping on a margarita, like oh what a great day. And then there's like more like kind of just like chillin' music. Like I make like rap beats sometimes and like just more like chill stuff. I call it smoking music, you know. So it's really it goes on how I feel that day. Like those are the different emotional levels in my songs.
So you really try to dig deep. And
yeah.
You're not trying to like copy another person or look externally.
No, I'll find inspiration. Like I'll listen to a song or a genre, and it'll grab me immediately, and I'll be like, yes. But I don't go in and like copy that dude. Like I'll take something I like from him and like reverse engineer it to make it my own.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a very like powerful tool in like anything, like just using the work of others but not taking it and copyrighting it.
It's like how can you differentiate this idea into something even better potentially?
That's going back to that Mr. Potato Head thing.
Yeah.
Like you take all those parts and then eventually you have a whole Mr. Potato Head who looks like that.
Really funny is that I have a Mr. Potato Head, like an OG like 90s Mr. Potato Head on my desk at work. And I'm just like, holy shit! I look at that every day, and I never think about it that way. But that's such a good.
Now you will.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna look at it and be like, damn, that's my life. I am Mr. Potato. You just like gotta like wear many hats all the time.
Yeah.
You know, just like literally plug and play.
Yeah. You just try different things. You know, see what works and what doesn't work. Just like feel it out. Like I don't like force myself to like make a certain sound or genre when I'm not feeling it. Like I could start like a trap song and like kind of be into the beat, but then just not feel it anymore and just scrap it. Like
I've always been interested in that like process for artists. Is like when they're making a song, do they have a routine or do they just like, oh, I'm sitting on the toilet.
Yeah.
Oh, I have an idea.
There's definitely, it's a little bit like of both. Like you can definitely sit down and like have an idea in mind and like kind of just like grab it from nothing and just make something. But what works for me is just starting off like my morning routine. Like after I'm done like, make my bed, shower, and all that, eat. I'll like sit down and it's like just do. Oh, man, there it goes. It literally leaves my brain just like that.
So like you'll have a set routine, but then like the more creative part of it is more just like comes and goes, like flashes of insight whenever.
Yeah, like I can pretty much force myself to do it, but I don't like to. But what you were saying, like if you're on the toilet and you have like that flash of inspiration, that definitely happens a lot. Like I'll be in the shower and be like, I'll be like, what was that? And then I'll go into my room and literally just make that, and then that'll take me on a whole different journey. I'll just start seeing where that takes me, and I could not have any idea where it's going. No genre, nothing. Like it is what it is.
Builds into something.
So like that's, and it helps you, stay original too, because you're literally not doing anything like anybody else.
What's your go-to or most like your favorite genre of electronic music?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess just that's my question. I was gonna build on that.
Yeah. What is your favorite genre and why?
Yeah. What's your favorite genre?
Always and probably always will be dubstep.
Okay.
There are like a lot of genres that I make now that are like dubstep in the sounds that you hear, but different beats, like different like drum rhythms, and like that's what really designs like the different genres, is the different like rhythms and like sounds that you usually hear. So dubstep has and always will be my favorite. Last night I listened to the song by AC Slater, which is he created this genre called night bass, which is like basically dubstep sounds, but with like really like deep house kind of beat, like drum patterns. So it sounds amazing, and like I heard it and was like, I need to start making that, and then I just made it.
Oh shit! Okay.
So like the dubstep sounds, like if I didn't know how to make those, I would never have been able to like just hear that and start making it.
Okay, so it's a lot of like you're just exposing yourself to that kind of environment, and then you try to make it your own.
Yeah, I'll just like I like to try as much as I can, like especially different genres. Like I'll like go off and try to make something I don't want to make at all, like Marshmello, his kind of music. I don't really love making that kind of stuff.
Like
poppy stuff. I'll make it just so I can prove to myself that I can make it. I don't like to limit myself.
Mastering the craft.
Yeah. Just like I said earlier, I'm just trying to experience everything.
Right.
So if you were to like label your genre, what would you call it?
I'd say trap dubstep.
Nice.
Okay.
So it's like really like heavy bass, bass lines, like hi-hat, like patterns, like really crazy drums, and then really crazy sound design, and then you mash that together and you get dubstep.
Yeah.
It's pretty much it.
Yeah. It seems like it's similar to like your regular everyday personality.
Yeah.
Like very like over the top, like energy filled.
Yeah. For real. Like I go where the energy is, pretty much. And it's always resonated with me. And it might be that because when I went to all those raves as a kid, like they were all dubstep. Like it's probably just ingrained in my head at this point. When I sit down at my computer, I just like already hear it in my head. Like it's crazy.
Nice.
What would you say the hardest genre is, at least for you, to make a song with?
It's called jungle. It's like really it's hard to record toms and like percussion in what I do, and so you usually go and like grab loops from other people, but I don't like to grab loops from other people. I like to like make it myself. But definitely jungle is the hardest because like you have like these really like African rhythms, and like it gets pretty intense. Like it's hard to explain.
Is it like I'm thinking of an example so I can connect, because I don't listen to jungle. Like a Wywek.
Yes.
Is that kind of the style?
That is slower jungle. Okay. That is like housey jungle.
The same, kind of similar.
The guy that I'm talking about, his name is Tyvna, Tyvna, or I don't even know how to say his name.
I'll look it up.
But it's like trap music. Like the beats are trap, but like he throws like these crazy like syncopated beats and like drum patterns that I just like. You sit down and you're like, how do you make that? And I don't know how. So
Yeah.
that's on my list. Like I gotta learn how to make it.
I like the you keep coming back to this idea of putting yourself, trying something new, and that's like a big thing I've kind of preached is just like you don't ever progress in anything you're doing if you don't put yourself in an uncomfortable state.
Yeah.
Because like if you're just always doing what you're comfortable with,
Yeah.
you're just gonna plateau at some point.
I saw something yesterday that said like if you feel nervous and excited for something, go do it because that you will feel amazing afterwards.
So to just piggyback off of what Andy said, what would you say your most uncomfortable situation has ever been?
Doesn't even
or
have to
it gave you that feeling of the angst and excitement.
And it doesn't even have to be related to your music, but it could be.
So, okay, when I first performed at Lava, I pretty much had no idea what I was gonna do for that.
That was your second time, right?
That was the second like venue I played at. It wasn't necessarily my second like time performing.
Oh, okay.
But it was a whole different crowd, and
yeah, definitely.
completely out of my element. Like I make like a DJ like EDM and like make the EDM kids dance.
It's like
I'm going to a club like to like I gotta play like like
Justin
50
Bieber.
Cent like remixes all night. So like
just candy shop on repeat.
Yeah, candy shop on repeat, but like for real, like that it's literally like popular throwback songs, house beat
mix
for an hour. Like that, and like that's what I had to figure out. And like I figured it out. But I was still so nervous because they usually have a lot of people there. And like at that time, like I had not played for more than like probably 20 people. Like I started off from like 0 to now
500.
Now it's getting up there a little bit, but still. That I would say was definitely like my most like nervous and most like anticipated set.
That's a huge opportunity.
Yeah. It was big. It was like 4 days after my birthday. I was like, yeah, let's go.
Fuck yeah.
You're feeling good. And
Yeah. That was definitely it.
That's exciting. I do you have any other festivals besides the Lovely Time that you've trying to get into right now, or what's your plan for that kind of stuff?
Right now I'm focusing on just keep getting better at producing. As far as festivals go for this year, they're all booked.
Yeah.
So it's next year that I'm looking at. And yeah, there is. Like I have like festivals on my milestone list. Like always wanted to play Electric Forest. Always wanted to play Tomorrow World. Like Ultra was the first festival I ever went to. Always wanted to play there. So like those are definitely on my hit list. And if I keep getting my music to the level of those people and promote it well enough, I should be able to get there in the next like 1 or 2 years. Like that's how it's like all starting to pan out. If I keep, the same work.
On it, yeah. And I feel like, although I guess like in my mind, I feel like, oh damn, I would have loved to see you like hit a couple more festivals, but also like you now have a year ahead of you to finish this album and potentially do even more work in that time. That people who are running festivals and looking for talent, you're gonna have an even better portfolio.
Exactly. And just sending out all the emails and like getting all the information of these festivals so that I can send them my music and get known by them it gives me a lot of time to do that basically.
Right.
So
you're talking about progression here. Out of your skill set of your music production, what would you say your highlight is?
I definitely really love mixing music. So like there's composing and like making the entire song, like all the elements, like all like the different drum patterns and like all the different sounds that you're going to use. But when you get into mixing the song, so like making sure the volumes are good, like adding brightness or crunchiness to a certain sound, like these are like the terms you use are like air, like on a pad, like you always
like the After Effects.
Yeah, basically the After Effects. That's my favorite part. It's like you really sonically sculpt the song and make it sound the way you want to. Like if I made a song where the kick was way too quiet, but it's a genre where the kick is like supposed to be front and center, like the loudest thing, I wouldn't want to do that. Like I just really love being able to like prioritize sounds and like organize them. And that's what I learned in school, like going to school for audio recording.
It's like exploring different sounds.
Yeah.
And that's like, I feel like, making the song itself, like anyone can do that part, but it's the mixing side where that's where you really like show your artistry and why you're different from someone else.
Yeah. And you can definitely tell like somebody who knows how to mix, somebody who doesn't know how to mix. It just sounds bad. Like
you're like, oh, that was weird.
When you hear it, you'll know. Like, wow.
Go on to
when the lead vocal is like so quiet in like your song, get out of here. But yeah,
it seems like you have a good foundation, and a foundation that allows for this exponential growth that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to like plug as much info into my brain as I could. Like I still am. Like I'll like read up on like old college notes and like highlight, like read books and like just try to like take the information I like once had, solidify it, drudge it from the bottom, bring it back to the top. Just like don't waste any of my time like that I had put in before.
Right, it's just like recycling.
Yeah, recycling information.
Yeah, keeping that information fresh in your mind. So I want to talk about this podcast that you started.
Let me before we go.
Yes.
Check the video. Okay, that's good.
Cool. Little pit stops.
That's the worst when like
we've had technical difficulties.
And it didn't record.
Yeah. We've done one where literally we recorded like 50 minutes of a podcast just to find out that it didn't record any of it. Oh. And we had to literally redo the same thing and try to recreate what that conversation was, and it wasn't there.
Oh, dude, I've been there, man. What the worst thing for me is like when I'm working on a song and my software crashes. Like they've updated it now, so you can recover it better. But like when it used to happen, dude, like software crashes, it recovers to the last save. And like I didn't save for like 3 hours. The song was trying to remake it. It's just not. It's not happening. I feel that.
Oh my god.
It's like a loss of your soul.
Yeah, it really is. Like you are devastated. Like it's so much worse to lose something. Material. Like it's so much worse to lose something than to like gain something. I swear.
Yeah, literally.
So since we're on like the whole conversation of the podcast stuff, why don't you talk a little bit about your new podcast that you started?
Yeah.
So might as well plug it.
Hey, plug it. Yo, so we're doing the podcast. It's the podcast about podcasts. We talk about podcasts.
You're gonna talk
don't
about
really know.
podcast?
Yeah, we haven't really talked about podcasts yet, but Josh made up the little slogan there, so we're going with it. Every Sunday we sit in our kitchen and record whatever's on our mind that week. Like last week we had a reincarnation and talked about like life possibly being a simulation. So like that was a good hour talk of that, and I could go into it now for about an hour, but you can just go there and check it out too. But so we do that every Sunday. You can go to Corona Jones SoundCloud, and you can find all the episodes there.
So what made you guys start the podcast? Was it just like a joke, or what was the?
No, I wouldn't say it was a joke. I mean, it's definitely more like something we wanted to do for fun because we've been watching like Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Like Last Podcast on the Left. Like I've just been really into podcasts lately. Like I feel like a lot of people are like.
Yeah. No.
It's like the thing.
I would consider a couple of people at work have said this to me since we've got a decent amount of episodes out there now. They're like, you guys almost like came into the game at the perfect time because it's like the wild one. It's almost like the gold rush, and everyone wants to be in it now. So it's like you got to make a name for yourself now before it's so loud that you're just like it's not worth it.
Exactly.
So I commend you guys for deciding to just hack at it.
Hey man, for us it's just literally like sitting in our kitchen, hitting all it is just hitting the record button, and then we just talk like we normally do. Like we'll like hang out, drink.
Yeah.
So you guys normally have this type of conversation?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I'm always like when I drink, dude, I just talk about random stuff, and like that week, like we're not always drinking. I'm not like trying to make it off like we drink every podcast.
Yeah.
But that week we did, and we just went deep into reincarnation. Super interesting topic, though.
What do you think comes after?
Oh, dude. So I just want to hit like the main point of that like our podcast. So my friend Nick, who did the podcast with us, brought up a point like after you die, like basically you go through like these cycles of life, like trying to reduce your entropy, trying to like do all the things that make you happy and learn all the things that you want to do in each life. Like in this life, I wanted to be a music producer, doing it. Next life, I want to be a SEAL. Like I could be a SEAL. So like you keep going through these lives, reducing your entropy. And I agree with him. You reduce your entropy. So entropy is like chaos. And so like you're trying to get further away from chaos and more towards like peace and love. And like you're removing all fear and anxiety from your life.
Wait, what's the term? Is it like in Buddhism or something that
Nirvana?
Nirvana,
yeah. That's basically it. Yeah.
That idea, yeah.
Yeah, so he told me he brought that up, and I was like, I really resonate with that. But what happens after you've like reduced your entropy to the point, like what's the next level? And like he had no real answer for me. So I went back and like the next week came up with like a different topic, and we brought up like this is when we had the full reincarnation episode. And basically I found out, or at least from what my research and what I like to
what
believe.
Other people
what other people have proposed. Basically you keep going around this merry-go-round, like reducing your entropy, like living all these lives, but eventually you reach a point when you've like done everything that like your soul like needs to do, and you can kind of just like, they say like you melt into the universe, but they use an analogy that as like a raindrop drops into like an ocean, it drops as an individual raindrop, but the moment that it hits the ocean, it essentially becomes the ocean. Like the entire ocean.
Because you're now a part of the ocean.
You're now a part of it. So like us as individual raindrops like go through like this life, and like once we hit the ocean, we kind of merge with everything else, and like
that's singularity.
Huh?
Do you know what singularity is? It's where we merge with AI.
Oh
and
yeah.
Become this like mass network of consciousness.
Well, that the book that I've been reading says that there's like some kind of source field. Like
of
energy that we're all connected to. They use an example, basically when the light bulb, or like when one invention is invented, there's usually somebody in a different part of the world that has it the exact same time. So once one thing is figured out, it opens the path for other people just to figure it out easier.
It's like a neural pathway.
Yeah.
But on a grand scale.
Yeah, it's like the internet. It's like the World Wide Web, but we're all connected to it.
And it's organic.
It's organic.
Yeah.
How are we being connected? Organically.
Or like that's where
this is something that I like that we're going on this now. This is something that I think about is like, okay, we as human beings or animals or whatever, like plants even, like we were all created from the same source of matter and energy, right? Yeah. So that means that all of the atoms that make us have all been a part of the same like environment for all of existence.
Yeah. That could be when the Big Bang happened, like everything that was.
So like all of that energy and matter has always been interconnected. So maybe it's just like it's something that we just can't like comprehend as a conscious being. It's just something that's like beyond. Maybe it's like a different dimension of like being able to see that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think like we're all connected in some kind of way. Like when you can like read somebody's thoughts and like. Yeah. I just think, and like I was saying, telepathy.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, when I felt like something's like channeling through me, or I'm like pulling from somewhere else, like I sometimes now think that I'm pulling from this source field and like using that like other people's, information and kind of using it myself.
Yeah.
I read a lot about different philosophies, and they have like stuff in biblical teachings, and I'm not like super Catholic religious, like Christian or anything like that. But I can see a lot of like similarities between like Christian, Buddhism, like I don't know what else is out there, Hinduism, and how they talk about
Islam,
these they talk about these instances where people, they get that like flash of like God or like this universal force that like rushes through them, and like you're going through this like first point of view. You've experienced that, you know what that feels like, and they talk about these things in the Bible, the Quran, and like we make it out to seem like this I don't know, this godly force that like can't be attainable. But like we're living.
I like to think so. Like growing up, Roman Catholic, I always, you know, you get taught that like God, it's they all like make it seem like God is like a tangible being that is like has his hand on, which is like clearly like some guy, clearly like a man made that up because God's a dude. How do you fucking know?
They're like, oh yeah, he's white too.
Right. But like when in reality, it's like, because like going back to what I was saying, we're all from the same source. We all are like that force.
Yeah.
You know?
I've heard that so I think it's Buddhism that says this, that the idea of God is mainly just like your higher self. Like your like what like you strive to be. I'm like
your ideal.
Yeah, your ideal perfect self, like it's above you, like kind of like guiding your way, and like
so that's God.
That's God in Buddhism, I think. Buddhism. And that has to do with like the pineal gland and like
and I mean you could relate that to Christians who think like the highest standard of morals, like very hard discipline and stuff like that, like beat on a stick and shit, and like do the right thing or else you'll get the fucking like
or you'll
mallet.
Or you'll
go to hell.
You'll burn in hell.
But like you could see the comparisons. This is like a very like conservative mindset, and this is very liberal. But like you see the connection, and it goes down to ideal self, either in your morality or in like your way of life.
Yeah, I think all religions kind of like have like similar themes between them. Like they just have different ways of like explaining it.
And it's so unnecessary. It's so tragic to see all these religions fighting.
That's what I'm saying. Literally, like holy wars. Like none of it makes sense. Like
what I've noticed is that these religious like conflicts all stem because people are arguing over like the fine detail of a religion when they're not looking at the bigger picture, like these themes. Like, forget the fucking, like, what Joe Schmo said on page 7 about, like, whatever topic. Like, let's just look at, like, the grand, like, what's the end result of this religion? Why do you believe in this religion? It's about, like, you know, living, like, your best life or whatever and rising to that, like, next level, right?
Yeah.
Why I never understand why everyone's so concerned about, like, the arbitrary shit behind it,
it makes
not
no
like
sense.
Just like the overarching theme of why you even fucking follow religion.
See, that's why I like my family never like forced me to like do any religion, but I feel like that helped me a lot because like not being forced, I kind of found my own what I believe in. Yeah, and like I don't even like everything we basically been talking about. Like I think like that's what religion is trying to get you to think about, like the law of attraction, like doing all these things for your life. They kind of just like give you like a more like manageable, like step-by-step way of thinking about it.
Well, I think that, and I could be totally wrong, this is like my opinion, is that not everyone has the capability of opening their mind to thinking, like practicing law of attraction and really like becoming self-aware and then transcending to that next level.
You kind of have to wake up a little to do that.
Having these like rigid rule sets and stuff that religions do tend to have, it's easier for a person who hasn't honed in on themselves to just like follow along.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like impersonal. It takes you away from the soul of you, and it just like you're following a roadmap. You know, and it's brainless instead of being soulful.
Well, I mean, like, I would say more often than not, humans tend to be kind of like sheep-like, where like I was talking about this the other day, that more of the population has that like sensing and like reactionary characteristic as opposed to intuitive and like almost knowing beforehand like what needs to be done, and that's kind of, I feel like that's you've tapped into like your self-awareness.
Yeah.
And you're just like pulling from that force field of energy to like do your shit.
Yeah, I definitely think there is some kind of like sheep herding going on, especially with like the news. Like that's literally, the news is literally there just to create like more entropy. Like that's
Mass
literally
chaos.
like
Yeah,
it's
more
to get you
chaos.
farther away from like your ideal self, farther away from God.
How so?
It creates fear, and like it creates like, you know, it creates like you need the government in a way, like
Dependency.
Well, because
dependency.
they always showcase the negative thing.
Yeah.
I would say more than they show positivity on news. It's all about like, and they don't even showcase all like the shitty stuff because there's so much of it happening.
Yeah, like I always just get depressed like watching the news, and like I just don't want to go through that. Like it's good to be informed. Like obviously, like you should know these things, but like constantly watching the news for me is like it just brings me down.
It almost seems like when there's a system in place, it creates that fear and it like keeps the people down. Because like when you're in a stressed state, you're not able to have these transcending like insights into the world or whatever.
Yeah, well, they say that the whole 9/11 thing
was
an inside job to create the need, like the idea for the people to really need their government. Like, oh no, somebody crashed into our World Trade Center. Like, we gotta protect ourselves. We gotta go to war. So they're like, we gotta go to our government. Like, we need you. Like, it's, I don't know, like that. That's super conspiracy theory. Like, but
it's an interesting idea though to explore.
Well, I mean, like at the end of the day, I mean, even now, I feel like no one really knows. Well, I'm sure somebody knows what happened, but like you, me, Kyle, like we're probably never going to, at least now, right now, like what it's been over. How long has it been? It's been like almost 20 years since it happened, and we still don't really have a full grasp of like what really happened there.
And we'll never know.
No. I mean, we maybe someday like someone who does know it spills the beans and like they're like, this is actually like the documentation of what happened. But it's I feel like throughout history things like that, questionable, like did that actually happen that way, the way they told us, have happened, and people just are like, yep, that's matter of fact. Someone above us told us this is how this happened.
If it's on the news and they told you, then
it's fact.
That's it.
Yep.
I would like to point out, and this is off topic, but us having this conversation, like the thing you're talking about where you feel like something is speaking through you, like I feel it in this conversation right now.
Yeah.
Do you? Like you get that
dude, I go on autopilot. Like I'm just sitting here and then like the words just like flow out. Like I'm just talking.
It's like you're on the ceiling looking down.
Yeah,
like
pretty much. Like dude. I always think like I really love like making people laugh and like having fun, and I always think like humor is a huge part of the source. Like being able to grab that and like literally make people feel good. It's like
instead of using fear to make people get attention, you're using humor to open them up.
Yeah, you're getting them closer to where they need to be. If you want to think of it that way, I just like to make people laugh. Though. I like, but like the humor, like I always think like, because I never think about jokes. Like I couldn't like do stand up and get up
like
and
just
making
it up.
Yeah, I can't make it up on like beforehand.
Yeah,
and get up there and say it. But like if I'm in a conversation, somebody says something, I'm always so quick to like throw that one word, like one phrase in to make like people laugh, like perfect timing. And like I don't think about it, like it just boom, idea said. Like
I've noticed that I have that ability to like being like quick witted.
Yeah.
And just being like da, and like it's also like the execution of it too. So I feel like because we're both like high energy, that like it's very easy to be a little animated and say something that everyone's like, oh shit,
exactly,
this fucking guy.
No, 100%.
So to bring this back to you a little bit, we're talking about like morality and like the higher self. What would you consider your ideal self to be?
That's a hard one. I'd say my ideal self, like pretty much, is completely with like love, basically. Like the feeling of love is something like nothing else. Like I've noticed it on like psychedelic experiences. Like I've felt all these different emotions, but like love is the one that like literally makes you feel at home. So like I think that my ideal place is completely remove like fear and anxiety. Like I keep saying that, but like it's true. Like if I could just completely have love and like be completely happy, that's my ideal self.
So you can manufacture that feeling of love on your own,
I can do things to get there.
even though you're not actually in love.
I'm not saying in love. Like
Okay.
the that's definitely part of it. I'm saying like love, like
the emotion.
the emotion, love, like just like being completely content all the time, like very happy, like giddy, go getter, like
Yeah.
And now, side topic again, do you have a relationship right now?
No.
Okay, so it's like love of yourself.
love of yourself, like love of others, love of like the dude asking for money on the side of the street, like
just like an appreciation
Yeah.
of everything that is.
yeah, like you like a good like kind of like tool that I've learned in the Tools of Titans book is to like appreciate 3 things every day, like random things, like this coffee mug, like thank you for holding this tea, like, and then when you start thinking like that, like I sit in my room and like I have like this cool poster I got, like last night I was thinking like, oh wow, I love this poster, like I'm glad I have it, like where would I be without it? Like I don't know, but like if you like appreciate 3 things, like you get more in tune with like what you appreciate, I guess.
Like what your values really, where they really lie.
Yeah.
So
It's
you
like pretty Buddhist.
does that mean that you
I think it is a little bit.
does that mean that you actually do appreciate the cup at first, or you just say it to like, is it like another like mind trick?
You say it, yeah, it's kind of like a mind trick. You say it, and then you start thinking like, oh, it holds the tea, which is like giving me this good feeling. Like it's got your logo on there. Like that's a good reason to appreciate it. Like keep it forever. You know, like and like it'll be random things. Like I even like appreciated a street light one day. Like a green light. I was like, thank you for being green. And I drove through it. But yeah, like even Alice in Wonderland said that, like, oh, I appreciate 3 things before breakfast. Like that they literally told you then.
That's
to
what
do
you gotta do.
They sneak those things in there in these Disney movies. They're like, hey, this is how you should be in life. Like, think this way. Don't think that way.
And they probably figured it out.
Yeah.
They're Disney.
They're Disney. They know what's good.
Oh shit! That's insane to me that we got into that off just like. So you have a podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Speaking of, I want to be on your podcast sometime.
Yo, for sure.
We'll
get you both in there.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Dude, we should just do like the Boho Hobo just like
The collab.
crashes the podcast. Let's go.
Dude, that'd be sweet. Yeah, we got 2 mics. We use Audacity. Like,
Nice.
I have this take on reincarnation too.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's very daunting. It's like not something transcendent like we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's very practical. But I think getting that perspective is good because it kind of weighs out that like this godly force.
Yeah.
But it's literally something as simple as when we die, we're going to get buried into the ground. Our molecules, like you're talking about, are going to get recycled, reincarnated into something else.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's in the soil, and then that soil produces these trees, corn, and then that gets cycled into the birds eating the berries off the tree. So, and then they talk about heaven, and I think really what heaven is just through. So again, with this practical concept, I think consciousness, or I think God is consciousness, and so like what that is talking about, like there's no other creatures on this planet that have the consciousness that we have, and I think that's the godly thing that rules all in this planet. And so when we talk about heaven, I think all that's talking about is like happy memories that you shared with that person that just died. So consciousness, again, holding true to that concept. When someone dies, all the things that you remembered from that person that made you elated is like you're re-embodying that person into your memory, into your consciousness. And now your consciousness is projecting heaven onto this person.
Right.
And then hell is like if that person committed suicide and you're literally like so fearful of everything now because your loved one just did that to them. That is hell being projected onto your consciousness. And that's the only thing that you can remember of that person.
Yeah. I totally feel that way because I had a friend recently who committed suicide, and I totally feel that way. Like, it makes me feel like, why would he do that? Like, what?
So like, selfish.
Yeah.
Like,
and then,
fiery anger.
I feel like I think about, like, him and, like, when he did it and, like, what he was thinking about. And, like, that totally puts me in a negative mind state, which what you're saying is hell. Like,
and now he's living on in your hell.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I've never thought about it that way.
Do you... So, just because you said, like, it's selfish of someone to do that, which, like, to someone who loves someone, you're like, how selfish of you, like, but at the same time, like, I feel like we also talk about, like, wanting, it's okay to be selfish, though, in a sense, like, you're allowed to be selfish because it's your life.
Yeah.
So it's, like, a very hard...
It's a hard topic.
I mean, like, it doesn't even have to be necessarily us talking about, like, suicide, but just, like, people, for example, being selfish to, like, jump in front of a bullet. That you're being selfless, but you're also being selfish because you jumping in front of the bullet to save someone is gonna, like, in your head internally, and you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna, like, look good. It looks good on me to, like,
be the hero.
Like, even if that's not what you're actually thinking in the moment, like, subconsciously, that's the reason why people would jump in front of the bullet, go out of the, like, people in 9/11 to go up into the building and try to save people. Like, although that was their jobs, but, like, they also knew, like, they could die.
Yeah.
And 100%. A lot of them did. And, like, it's selfless, but selfish at the same time.
If we're looking at this from the perspective of God and, like, this consciousness, I think that having our egos, or just humans having ego, is what propels our race forward to progress. And I think there's instances in these, like, finite situations where having that ego is seen as selfish. But I think in the grand scheme of things, everyone having their own individual ego is the reason why we're able to fucking make these crazy inventions, or, like, create AI, or, like, create these, like, organizations that bring nations together.
Yeah.
Because people want to be the best they can be. And if everyone was like, oh no, I just care about my neighbor, I care about this neighbor, and then it's like it kind of diffuses that itching to get
you really do
forward.
at time. I mean, a lot of time you really. I mean, we talk about self-awareness. You really got to work on yourself a lot, as much as you need to pay attention to everything else around you, being conscious of that as well.
Right. Yeah.
It's a big balancing act.
It is huge. Like, a lot of life is balance. Like, you don't want to be too stuck on one side or the other. Like, they say even too much of a good thing is bad for you. Like, you know.
Drugs.
So
weed, man, is not too much.
I just had a very interesting insight. And maybe this will spin a positive note onto your unfortunate, like, loss.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about how, like, your idea of reincarnation is that you live one life and you master something, and then you come back and then you could be something else. Like, people talk about the idea of, like, well, it was their time, or it wasn't their time. People who, like, almost die, but then they don't.
Yeah.
Maybe like it was his time, but that he's gonna reincarnate into something else and live that. He's getting closer to his entropy. And
I thought that, like, he had, like, just, like, gotten, like, a divorce from his wife, and I think, like, his, like, kind of life goal kind of had already been achieved / like.
So his goal was to get married.
Goal was to get married and, like, be in the military, which he was. He did all that. And, like, now I think, like, he kind of, like, hit the reset button and, like, is a lot happier now, like, reliving a part of his life that he needs.
And in a sense,
to grow his soul.
If you were to take my practical philosophy here, like, in a sense, he's getting buried and he's getting reborn as something new, whatever it may be.
Exactly. He's given back to the universe.
So this is just, like, a random thought about, like, you keep saying getting buried. I think that it's almost better to, like, be, like, cremated or something in a way where you can get your actual body to become part of the earth again sooner. Because when you're in a box, all that organic matter stays in the box for a very long time.
So it doesn't get recycled.
So you're actually like limiting the actual natural effect of dying.
Yeah. Like my grandma, we spread her ashes in her hometown of Cape Town, South Africa, like on this mountaintop, like spread it out, and like you said, like all like the parts like get back to the rest of the world.
I wonder what the original intention was for cremation. Was there
Probably
something
space? The graveyard got full. And they're like, well,
yeah. I was just wondering if it was
take
like
up a lot of room when there's millions of people dying. You know?
I was just wondering if it was like a satanic spin-off. Like these like higher ups are like trying to fuck the people, and they're like, burn yourself. Yeah. Like this is the way you should do it.
Well, I know in like the movie Troy, they like had like the ritual like burning of like with the coins on the eyes. So it's definitely going back like a long time.
Yeah,
this burning thing.
I mean, they did it in Star Wars. Whenever a Jedi dies, they burn them, or even not a Jedi, they burn their body. Yeah. Well, I mean, also if you're in space, like where the fuck are you gonna put that? Yeah, I don't know, but I also think like it pollutes the earth having all those like boxes with shit just like holding up natural space, when in reality like I get it's tradition.
Plus it definitely removes all worry of zombies.
Yeah,
they're already gone. Like we're good.
That's a great point. Because like I feel like part of that, maybe the intention was that potentially their body would come back to life, or
the body would rot and like disease. I mean, that's why they put them in the ground, but you never know. Like maybe it'll pollute the soil, and then the soil, you can't make tomatoes on the dead body.
Right, right.
Or maybe you can. Maybe that helps with what you're talking about. I don't know, but
yeah, I've looked into a lot into like alternative burial, like they do like artificial coral where they'll cremate your body into like basically like a block, and it's got like holes in it, and then they literally implant them into the coral reef, and then it becomes new coral. That's awesome. where the coral can actually like
the coral reef is like
because
on its way out, so that's
exactly.
Awesome.
I mean, I don't know if it's like effective because I don't know if enough people are doing it, but
I feel like if more people knew about that, they'd probably do it. I mean, I want to do it now.
Yeah, like that's been like one of my top ones. I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to do that. Like, I want to donate all of my organs that I can, and then cremate my body into something that will actually be like of use to the.
Yeah. So just like bring it back to you. So we're talking a lot about like different philosophies and stuff. Would you say you have a philosophy to your life? Do you ever think about that?
I just try to like be a good person. Like that is probably
the love.
The love thing. Like I just like try every day to like, help out somebody in need, like try not to be too selfish. Like that's like my philosophy is like just like, do the best I can and try to better myself every day a little bit, and like keep going forward and not backward. Like
okay, and then that goes into the next question, which is what would you say what does it mean to be human to you?
To be human means to have the human experience and experience all these wide range of emotions that we like are built with. Like we're pretty much one of the we're not the only like animal on this earth that feels emotions. Like dogs definitely cry all the time. Like sad as fuck.
You see animals, exactly.
But like we definitely have a wider range of emotions, and I think it's to develop your soul. Like we're here like on this like human vacation to kind of like do work. Like we're here to work. Like that's why like everybody's like built like all these companies. Like you're here to build companies. Like build like your ideal life. Like I think because like we have these hands. Like we can build stuff. Like I think that's why.
Do you think that's our purpose?
Yeah, it's like to build like your like whatever you desire. Like I built my DJ profile, like my music selection. Like that's what I like hold valuable in this life.
And so what would you say your values are? I'm asking really like
I know these are
deep
deep.
questions.
I value respect a lot. Like I always think like if you give me respect, like I'll give you respect. But if you don't give me respect, like I definitely will not give you respect back. Like it's that's a huge one. Like respect. I value like hard work and like being dedicated to something and like not taking the easy route like a lot of people do. Like that's a big value of mine is like I never like go right for like what's easier. But sometimes doing what's easier is probably the better and more efficient way. But it's all about how you want to think about it.
And it's tough with something creative like music.
Yeah.
Where maybe the 20-minute session that you're spending is like the one drop that like really makes it.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. But you keep plugging along because it's what you like to do. And like if what's like whatever's gonna happen in my career is like gonna happen. Like everything I do every day is just getting me closer to like what's gonna happen out of my control. Like I could be asked to play Ultra tomorrow. Like you never know. I'm just doing my thing and hopefully it comes back.
He's like
that's like a super breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have any expectations for yourself.
Yeah.
It's like you know what you got to focus on day in and day out, and if things that are crazy rewarding come to you, then it's like fuck yeah, but you don't expect it.
Alan Watts said that you literally only have to focus on one thing at a time. Like you have like this mountain of paperwork, like they like all those cartoons, like, but you only have to do one at a time.
You only can do one at a time
for the rest of your life. Like all you have to think about is just the one thing in front of you, and then like once you're done with that, you move on to the next thing. Like you don't have to be worried about like all this other stuff because you're too busy in the now. Like,
and a lot of that stuff's out of your control.
Yeah, and like why would you want to worry about
or like Lollapalooza?
Yeah,
or something.
like I'm gonna create a negative state of mind if I'm like, oh, like I'm like make this drop sucks. Like now I'll never get on an Ultra. Like so like that I don't like to think like that. Yeah,
and being grateful about
being
the
grateful.
coffee mugs.
The coffee mug, dude. I want to get one of those, dude.
You know what it's out of left field for me, especially because I don't really like watch these movies. But when you were saying like about like how like your life's this stuff's gonna happen one way or another.
Yeah,
is what Thanos says. He's like, I am inevitable.
Yeah,
like your life is inevitable. Like anything that will happen is going to happen.
Yeah, and
like you only have so much effect on like.
It's destiny.
Goes.
Like we literally do have destiny. It's like,
damn,
nothing you can do about it. Like you can think you're tricking death or whatever, but you're really like not.
So do you think it was your destiny to get into music and do what you're doing right
now?
I
mean, I've never like since I found out, I've never thought about anything else I would want to do. Like even if it doesn't pay at all, like even if it doesn't pay, as long as it pays for like food and like I can like provide for like my family when I get married and have a kid someday. If it can provide for them and do all that, like I don't need all the extra stuff like a yacht and stuff. I just need enough to be like content, you know. Minimalism. If I can be content and do what I love, like I'll be happy. Like that's it.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's definitely something I would recommend for those out there.
And I love how you were talking about like when you were creating and you create this masterpiece and you talk about like your workstation just completely shuts off and you lose that creative genius. That is like such a worse feeling than if you were to lose like your iPhone or something that's like replaceable.
Yeah.
And it just like goes to show how valuable creative ideas are, and they're hard to come by.
Yeah.
So when you get them, you should fucking cherish them.
Your thoughts are literally tangible things. Like if you can have an idea, if you have an idea, period, you can literally hold it in real life. Like for me, it's like music has never been something I can hold in real life because my music technically doesn't exist. It's just like in, the internet, like it's all around us. But like when I got those pins that I gave you guys, like that's when I first like brought my like idea of when I first got into it into like reality, and like I can actually hold something that like an idea that I had and a passion I had, like I brought it to life.
Put it into practical.
Yeah. Like you guys had an idea for this podcast. and here you are doing it. Like, that's what I'm saying.
That's one thing that we were thinking. Like, we always have this conversation where it's like deep and intellectual and like sharing ideas and stuff. But like, how do you put that into like a practical product that you can share with other people? And I think that that's kind of like the road we've delved into. Yeah. And like same with you and Josh. Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're like packaging ideas to like share and distribute.
Yeah, dude. Ideas are very powerful.
I feel like the idea of, you know, more or less your subconscious hand pulling from that that energy field is like almost like a superpower. It's a power beyond what we can comprehend. Yeah. And if you think about it that way, like you have to more or less appreciate the ability to do that and identify like, shit, I have this fucking like, gift.
Exactly.
I need to.
You're able to channel it, like, once you know what it is and how to channel it, and like.
Yeah. Because imagine like you create all of this music and you're not able to share it with other people. Yeah. Like, that's a fucking debilitating feeling.
Yeah, it really is. Like, but honestly, like I've spent so much time in my room making songs that I've never seen the light of day. And I've played a lot of shows for people that weren't even there, like 0 people. So like you that is definitely a very negative thing. But like once you have to go through that, I feel like kind of keeping it all on the inside and like, you know, harnessing it. Yeah, basically. And then you kind of let it free, you know, set it loose to the world.
That's a good point. Yeah. Cause if you're just shooting random blanks everywhere, like it's not this, well, first off, it's not authentic. You're just kind of like shooting out shit just to like hope for someone to get attention.
You're just adding to the noise.
Yeah, basically.
That's why I believe like a big, like what the reason why, like I was saying, we changed the format of the podcast or anything that you've done is like, it's about intention. So instead of being noise, you're being intentional noise. So it's actually like something that people can resonate with. They're like, oh, this actually speaks to me, as opposed to like, well, what's the purpose of this?
Yeah. One thing I've been noticing lately is like with social media, the entry point, the accessibility to get your art and creative projects out there, so easy.
So easy nowadays.
It's free. But like with that comes a lot of just shit. Yeah. There's so much just random shit on social media.
So hard to find good artists, like up and coming artists nowadays.
And it, like because of like this entry point being so low, this barrier of entry so low, it's causing people like jump too quickly into the progression. Yeah. Like they're not able to find them. Like I really personally think that art is here to allow us to have like introspection, self-awareness building, and like really harness what your personality or ideas, beliefs are. Yeah. And then once you get to a foundational level, like what you've gone through in your progress, is like that's when the time is to share it. Because then that way you have a good foundation to build from. But like people are going too quick into the game.
Yeah, like an example here is like I've known so many like producers that their music that they make is not like on par with where they should be. But they're out here like putting it on like Spotify, iTunes, like SoundCloud, and like that's good. But like all the time that you're spending trying to promote all of this like kind of crappy music, you could have been improving it and then promoting it. But it's kind of a double-edged. It's a balance because you can't not put your music out when it's like bad too. But if you're putting more time into the promoting than to actually like honing your craft and like
you're kind of doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, basically.
I think in the long game, like if we're talking 10, 20 years, you'll end up balancing itself out. Like the person that is promoting early on will end up being the same level. Yeah. But it's just like, how do you go about it?
Well, if they push through the potential negative effect because they didn't focus on their craft.
And that's where you probably get the edge on because you know yourself enough to know like this is my work and I don't care what anyone says about it. Yeah. Whereas the other person that might be coming in early might have more insecurities. Yeah. And dictated by the people.
This is like to the effect of what Seth Dollar said in our previous podcast. He's like, it's about like you know, you start out in like Pallet Town, right, and then you work your way all the way around the game.
No, yeah.
To like that final battle,
Yeah.
and like some people want to just skip right to the final battle. He's like, I'm good and really master at what I am because I went through all those levels. I didn't just.
It's about the journey.
Yeah, I mean that's
really
like
is.
every video game though. You can't just like skip to the end and fucking win because your dude didn't learn the powers yet. Or there's like a fucking black wall and it's like you haven't unlocked this shit yet.
The fun is when you're driving that little bike through bushes and you get attacked by a pigeon or Pidgeon or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Like that's the fun. Like you're going through
not beating the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
not
literally we listen to Gary Vee. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's like a pretty big entrepreneur mind. Okay. And he talks a lot about, he's like, it's not about falling in love with like the end goal, end product. It's about falling in love with like the process. The process of it. He's like, I live for the process. I live for the failures and the rewards. Yeah. And I don't ever like dwell. Like for him, he's like, my end goal is to buy the Jets. He wants to buy the New York Jets. He's like, will I get there? I don't know. Yeah. But he's like, it's a goal I have, but I don't like lose sleep at night over the fact that I might not ever buy the Jets. Exactly. And it's hard for people though, because I feel like our society doesn't really teach that. Our society teaches like, you need to be like all these other people. You need to attain this. Instead of just like live your fucking life, live in the now, and just fucking experience.
Yeah, like I love going home and like sitting in front of my computer and making some weird sounds. Like it could go nowhere, and most times it doesn't. But sometimes like you hit something, like you tap into something, and like you go off on this journey, and like that is the fun. Like when you sit down and then you find like you get in that meditative state and like you like flow
at peace.
You're at peace, like you're happy doing what you're doing, you know what you got to do, you're not worrying about the future, the past, you're like right here, you know. I think that's like the journey, like being content with where you like are now but still having where you're going in mind, you know?
And to get to the last, what would you call segment, where are you going?
Where am I going? So I'm probably moving out of New York in a few months. I might be moving to Texas.
Oh shit.
My uncle recently passed.
Never been?
I've never been. I'm going to visit and like live there for a month before I go. But my uncle passed recently and he basically left my mom his house, and I see it as a pretty good opportunity to because Houston, it's in Houston, and that's like the second music capital of the world. So I'm gonna go there and just try my luck. It's like Syracuse is amazing and I love it, but to do what I want to do and to play all the shows that I want to play,
you have to open yourself up.
I have to open myself up and go to new places. So that's literally where I'm going. But in the future, I want to tour and like do the DJ tour life for a while, but ultimately I just want to like make music and like have a family, like have a house, and then like just be content. Yeah, like live, don't die. Like that's that's pretty big on my list.
Yeah. I literally just thought of like you saying like about this house and you moving there and just like turning it into this like ultimate like studio.
Yeah, it will be.
That's so
like
exciting.
I literally won't leave the house. Like just like I need to like around here I'm surrounded by distractions. Like even in my studio, my home studio, I'm surrounded by my phone, like TV, all this stuff. Like at least there, like friends too. Like that's the hard one. But like if I'm in a place like completely cut off, I can literally just go into a cocoon and build music and then come back out and then go out and do all the stuff that I want to do with that music.
It's almost like this cocoon reference is like, this is going to be cliche as fuck, but you're like turn into like a fucking butterfly.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like I go into like this little like mental cocoon and like work on my music and like don't see the light of day for a few months. But then I come out with all this music ready to play some shows.
Fuck.
Yeah, go like, you know, turn out like, just like,
That's really exciting. I'm really excited for you. Like,
thanks, dude. that's so that's like where I want to go. It's just do all that, like live the life, like the touring life, and like do all the things that I've like in my mind wanted to do since I started. And then once I like get there, like where I want to go is just to retreat into like, you know, the forest, build a log cabin with my wife and child, and live with the wolves.
Music.
Keep making music. Like I will never stop making music. Like,
And blast dubstep into the void.
Basically, yeah. And
well, hopefully by then your name will be big enough where you could just like post it on the internet.
Yeah.
And you'll get like traffic, and you'll be able to be like in the log cabin making music and not have to leave. You could just make money off of ads or whatever.
That's what I mean. Like ghost produce for some up and coming DJ.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Like they have producers like
who don't want to be famous.
Who don't, yeah. They have like people that become like the face, like the DJ. Like let's say Skrillex, for example, he makes all of his own music. Just use them as an example. If he like had somebody else making his music, he could go like Skrillex could go on tour way more often because he's not in the studio making all this awesome music. He has Joe Schmo and his log cabin making the beats for him, and like that's what he does. Like he spends his days doing what he loves in there, and like Skrillex is over there doing what he loves. Like
that's
probably
like
relationship.
There's probably like a Marshmallow doing that.
Well, that is, yeah.
I also who else was it? I think Mala. I've heard is like multiple people involved.
Mala's definitely one. Who else is? Alan Walker. That he literally like he had an interview like with like it's like a software like company. And, like, he's, like, got to go up there and, like, do a little recording, like, tutorial. Like, this is how you make an 808 fit in the mix. Dude literally was looking at his ghost producer who's, like, sitting in the corner over there away from the camera. Like, he's, like, doing this stuff, like, on camera. And he's looking at this dude every second. Like, so you turn this here. Okay, yeah. And then you do this. And it's so awkward. Like, you could just tell. Like, he doesn't know, like, the first thing about making music. And he's up here, like, being world famous.
He's pretty good, too. Well, like, not him, but
like the music that
the music's awesome. I love the music, and when I found that out, I was like, "What?"
It's disappointing.
Like Alan Walker, probably like the guy who made Alan Walker probably was a real person, and like his idea for that sound probably was his. But then companies like bought the name because it started to get big, and then did that whole ghost producer thing.
That's like the whole idea of like the music industry being so corrupt.
It is, dude.
That's a whole different topic.
Oh yeah, and like I try to just ignore that, and like if I can get big off like putting out my music myself, like I use this music distribution website called AWOL, which literally lets you be your own label. So like I can put all my music on Spotify, iTunes myself, and not have to worry about a label. Like the label like has like a huge flow of traffic and like a bunch of people viewing it.
Right.
But they kind of like desensitize your music.
Yeah, I would say there's a long-term potential negative effect for it. Unless you land like the fucking perfect match, which is few and far between.
Yeah.
You a lot of times lose rights to your music. You lose rights to like your creativity.
Yeah, like they steal you as a person.
Yeah,
they steal you.
They take your talent and they make you do what they want.
Yeah. So like if I can like put out, and that's why this is like a lot harder than it should be, because I'm like trying to build this all up myself, like promoting, like building like my website, like promoting, like talking, like I'm my own promoter, manager, like label owner, like I gotta like tell myself to do all these things, and sometimes it's hard. Like sometimes you can't get to it. Like I'm literally doing like 12 or 13 different jobs like in a given day.
This was actually something Andy and I were thinking about doing. Is like you have all these big name companies that are like running the show, like not producing, like reaching out and marketing and stuff like that. But like, what if you have like an indie company like us, for instance, that does that work for you? And it's not like we're trying to steal your creative, but we're trying to like leverage and boost you.
Like
like a that's collective. Something we've kind of like thought about doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Collaborating, 100% huge.
I mean, that's like the purpose of this podcast is to give a platform to creatives
without owning you.
Right. Without like exactly.
And like, are we getting like massive amounts of listeners right now? No, but it's like we're building a library of human experiences that in the future, when like we have aspirations also with our brand and everything to build up to maybe not go to old, but like do our own version of that.
Yeah.
And like people are going to be able to look back and be like, shit, they had Dirk Green on their fucking show and like listen to like where like what he was talking about then and where he is now. Mm-hmm. And it's shit like that. Like we're
the process.
This is it's really awesome. And yeah, so like more or less, I guess we see this as like just like the podcast is a part of it, but like on a grander scale to become a platform for people to more or less leverage off of what we're doing to ascend what they're doing farther. Without 100%. Us wanting to be like, oh, we want money from you because you're using our clout, whatever the fuck people use.
That's 100% on point. And like the whole like label things, like they literally like own you. Like they tell you what music you can and can't make. Like if I ever sit down and like I want to make jungle, but I have to make
it doesn't fit the brand.
Yeah, it doesn't fit what they're going for, and I have to make marshmallow music. I've not done what I wanted to do. Like I've sold my soul to the devil, like signing that record contract.
Yeah. Yeah, well then it's like you're in it for the money and not really for the creativity.
Exactly. Like I'm all about it creativity wise. Like I could not make a cent and still like be happy. Yeah. But then I'd have to like, work other jobs to make money. But hopefully there's a couple dollars coming my way.
You can't discredit it completely. But
exactly.
I think, we've talked about this in the past, but like if your mind is set on the money and not on like the experience and like the journey of it, then your mind's not in the right place.
Yeah.
Like you have to factor it in, but if it's the sole focus, if your mission is I want to make money, you're not. Yeah, you've already failed yourself.
Yeah, that's when things stop becoming fun. Is when you like you put a deadline on it, or like you put like a must do. Mm-hmm. Like once it stops being fun, like you're getting farther away from like
the purpose.
The purpose of it, like I don't know.
Not to discredit this idea. Yeah. But like I'm starting to see more things out on the internet that talk about like the minimalism movement. And like just trying to be self-sufficient, and they talk about like money having a purpose. Like it's important.
Oh yeah,
you can't discredit like you need money to be able to survive. But it's not instead of thinking in terms of like I want to make $1 million, it's like I want to make $50,000, just enough so I can go fly and do all these gigs and stuff like that. And it's like a change in mindset. And I think you have kind of like honed in on that mindset.
Yeah, like money is definitely important. Like you need it to survive.
But not in excess.
Yeah, but not in excess. Like if you literally have enough to do what you want, like the rest is just like, kind of like unnecessary. Like I don't need a yacht. I don't need to like fly to like Tokyo every couple days just because I found this girl. Yeah. I don't know. I found this girl like, oh, God. Private jet, let's go.
Yeah.
That'll never really
flex on everyone.
Yeah. Like I will never like be in it for the money. But I definitely need some money to survive.
Right.
And like
but you are doing this path because you know that money does come from this.
Yeah.
And so it's more or less like I really fucking love making music, and it just happens to be that you can make a shit ton of money doing it. Like
you just get paid off that.
Yeah.
Like another thing I've been looking up recently is like the super rich and why they don't not work. Like they've lived their entire life working, and like that is like their like they get satisfaction from that. So like
a Kanye West or something.
Yeah, so like once you get like that, like once you reach $1 billion, you could retire forever. Like you're good, you're set. Like you don't have to work a day in your life.
But they
still go back to work and do it, and like the money, like it comes to them because they are so good at like what they do.
Well, they've built a machine. They built an idea that is literally like too big to fail. Almost.
Exactly.
Well, maybe not too big to fail. Like something like Microsoft could literally just like stop, and it wouldn't like.
Look at Elon Musk. He works like 120 hours a week. I don't even know if that's possible, but
no, he does though. He gets like 4 hours of sleep a night or something.
He's in love with the purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is
Mission
the
of
purpose, the journey, man. The purposeful journey.
I mean, and you look at people like Bill Gates, like he's one of the richest people in the world, but he also donates half of his like income straight back to like other causes. And not every super rich person does that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is sad.
yeah, I mean, like people are like,
Like,
well,
what are
why
you
should
doing
I
with that
spend
money?
my hard-earned money on other people? And it's like, well, at some like, yeah, I get that, but at some point, it's like, do you need that extra $5 billion? Like, is it gonna make you lose sleep at night that you gave it to someone else could actually use it? Like, you know, that's a whole other fucking topic, though. I don't want to get people like heated.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking back to this conversation. I've been studying a lot of social sciences lately. So like philosophy, sociology, psychology, economics, and like we've literally hit on all of these topics in this conversation. It's been like this is a good conversation.
Yeah,
very sure.
Awesome.
Hopefully,
If you want to wrap this up, give us like last few words, maybe plug in your Instagram account, social media.
Yeah. So yeah, follow me on Spotify, Dirk Green, Instagram at Dirk Green Music, and then I just launched my new website, dirkgreenmusic.com. You can see me performing July 26th at a Lovely Time Music Festival in Turing, New York. And work on that Mr. Potato Head, you know? That's all I can say, really. Like, keep pulling things and working on them and make them your own. Like, that's what we're here to do.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for
Fuck yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
That was sick.
Glad to be on the show.
So there you have it. Thanks again for tuning in to Bindlism, a philosophy to self-sufficient lifestyle. That was episode number 30 with Derek Greenough, and we hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to explore other episodes of Bindlism on our Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can find more Boho Hobo stuff on Instagram and Twitter at Boho_Hobo_, as well as on our Facebook page at Boho Hobo Lifestyle. It'd also be dope if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Our YouTube channel has more episodes from Bindlism in video form, along with other random shenanigans that we're up to. We're constantly filming new experiences, so it's one way you guys can stay up to date with us in our journey. So yeah, I guess that's it for now. Until next time, peace.